really, I was looking at a couple areas, the free agency and potential free agents. I'm going to share the screen and let you guys take a look at this. Okay, this is my tweet from yesterday. And basically, I'm like looking at free agency priorities. I said Juwan Jennings, but not at $20 million. Eddie Pinheiro is the second option. Spencer Burford is the third priority. Sky Moore, the fourth priority. Yatir Gross-Matos, the fifth priority. Some guys like, Krug, you've lost me on Yatir Gross-Matos. He's the fifth free agent priority of their existing free agents. Calm the fuck down. Okay. I'm not saying he's the greatest player ever. I'm saying he's their fifth highest free agent priority of their existing free agents. And look at the rest of these donkeys. Elliott, Pinnock, Givens, and they're not all donkeys, but I'm pissed. Elliott, Pinnock, Givens, Bourne, Morstead, Kendricks, Weeks, Gifford, Hennessy, Brian Robinson, Patrick Taylor, Trent Taylor. Those guys can all walk. All those guys walk. The thing, though, and I made this point, the thing that's so depressing about next year is that what are you going to have? You may lose Kubiak. CMC will be coming off a year where he had 440 touches. So, I mean, there's going to be a price to be paid for that kind of usage. Ayuk is gone, not coming back. JJ is either going to return with a big salary in his 30s. So what can you really depend on there? You take away some of his motivation, and he's older. Pearsall, I think, is probably going to be dealt in the offseason. And if not, I mean, he's fragile at best. At best, he's fragile. He doesn't, he didn't also, by the way, if I mean, I like Ricky, but if you looked at his college resume, there's not tons of production there either. It's not like this guy caught hundreds of balls every year. He didn't. So, does he have good ball skills? Yeah. But I mean, he's always been a little bit of a projection. How much can he actually get out there and play without being hurt? Niners are going to potentially, they don't have Kittle because he's going to be out for almost all of next year. So, I mean, no Kittle, CMC off of a career high usage, no Ayuk, Pearsall you don't know about, JJ you don't know about. You need more receivers. You haven't been able to use any of your speed. You don't really. Tonjes, I think he might be a free. I'm not sure he's a free agent, but he's probably not an everyday starter at tight end. You still need your, future left tackle. So you may lose your coordinator. I mean, there's a lot. You may lose Robert Saleh. I mean, it's a lot. The division, I mean, the two teams playing in the NFC Championship game are in your division. You're in the biggest, best division in pro football, and you're now the third best team in that division. It's 26 is it's frustrating. It's frustrating when you think about it. And you look how fast Nick Emanwari is, how fast McDonald's defense is, and then how fucking slow the 49ers weapons are. And they got so smothered in the last two games against Seattle, they couldn't do anything. Absolutely nothing. 0 touchdowns in the last two matchups against Seattle. So Niners need a dynamic tight end. They need a dynamic receiver. They need more vertical speed. They got to scare somebody. They don't scare anybody. All right. I went through the entire list of free agents late last night when I got back to my hotel room, sitting there drowning my sorrows, drinking IPAs, throwing them down. Here are the 20 free agents that I think I'd be interested in. Now, I have Zach Wilson on this list just because I think Mac Jones is going to be traded. Zach Wilson is probably another reclamation project quarterback that, probably would be fine coming to San Francisco and he'd probably pay the Niners to come play in this offense behind Purdy and for Shanahan. So he's interesting. I'm not saying I love Zach Wilson, but, he'd be interesting. I do love Najee Harris. I mean, he wouldn't be bad as a power back, but he's not necessarily a fit running back wise, but Breece Hall would be. Great speed, Iowa State connection with Purdy. Receiver wise, those are the three best receivers in a very thin receiver free agent market. Romeo Doubs, Alec Pierce, Wan'Dale Robinson was underutilized with the New York Giants. He was great at Kentucky. Those are the three wide receivers I'd look at. With Kittle out, I would definitely try to get one of those two tight ends. Kyle Pitts, I think, is going to be great for the next 3 or 4 years. Isaiah Likely is a really good tight end as well. Offensive tackle-wise, the Seattle backup offensive tackle, Josh Jones. I really liked him. I liked him at Houston. He was at Arizona. He's athletic. He's big. I mean, that would be a good acquisition if you could get Josh Jones. Defensive ends, you got to find some more rush, and I listed a few of them there. Kingsley Enagbare from Green Bay, Boye Mafe from Seattle, Jalen Phillips from Philly, Michael Clemens of the Jets, Sam Williams of the Cowboys. All those guys, to me, that's the creme de la creme of the defensive end group. Defensive tackles, Sheldon Rankins. I mean, they need an interior rusher. They've got Collins, they've got West. They need that third guy to be somebody who can play in a rotation, who can play in a couple of different spots, and who can provide pass rush. And Sheldon Rankins can definitely do all those things. Devin Lloyd's going to get broken off. He'd probably be beyond their price range, but I think he's far and away the best linebacker. And then if I really was going to look for, free agents, I like Nick Cross, the safety from the Colts, played at Maryland, really good player, could cover safety. But I definitely would try to get one of these three corners. I love these three corners. Alontae Taylor for the Saints, really good player. Loved him, I think, at Tennessee. I think he was at Tennessee. Then there's Tariq Woolen, who, big corner. If Gus Bradley is going to be the defensive coordinator here, I could see them getting rid of Renardo Green and going after a Tariq Woolen or a Nashawn Wright. Why? Because Gus likes a certain body type in his corner. He likes a long physical corner who's strong against the run and has that great length. And Woolen's 6'4". Taylor, I think, has got good height. Nashawn Wright's like 6'3", 6'4". I mean, those are big, long corners. I like all three of those guys. Taylor's probably my favorite of the three. He can play in the slot. He can play on the perimeter. He can play the boundary. He's really good. Alontae Taylor's a hell of a player, and he's physical. So those are the free. That's the free agent market. I mean, there's tons and tons of guys at every position. I just went through with a fine tooth comb and just scoured the whole thing for my purposes and what I was looking for, and that's what I came up with. If I could have, let's say I can have three guys on this list, who would be my three guys? I think I would take Kyle Pitts, because I really think they need a receiver, receiving tight end. I would take Alontae Taylor, because I really think they need more help in the secondary. Look how good Seattle was on the perimeter, and compared to the Niners. So Alontae Taylor, come on down. Kyle Pitts, come on down. And then I would want one of those, probably one of those edge rushers. Maybe Boye Mafe. I know he didn't fulfill his potential in Seattle, but I love how fast he comes off the edge. Maybe Jalen Phillips, if you thought he could stay healthy. This whole year was a lot of positives. I mean, there were a lot of positives here. One, the positives were that the 49ers, despite all the adversity, found a way to keep fighting. And it was a gritty bunch. And then I thought the best story of the year was the fact that, Brock Purdy justified his salary. I don't think there should be no conversation anymore about, is Purdy the guy? He clearly is. And there should be no conversation about, is Purdy worth the money? He clearly is. He's clearly worth that money. So I kind of think that whole thing gets put to rest. So overall, this was a good year. I mean, it was a great. I mean, they had to go at least 11-6 with that schedule. They went 12-5. They had to win at least one playoff game. They wound up beating the Eagles on the road. So I would say overall, all things considered, it was a positive year for the 49ers. But before we're, get too glowing, the two best teams in your conference that stand between you and winning that 6th Lombardi are now in your fucking division. And yes, Stafford's old, but Seattle's young. And, Les Snead and John Schneider are really good architects. And they've got good head coaches. And, they've got the pieces in place. So the Niners were gritty. The Niners were resilient. By the end of the year, they were just basically outgunned by better teams. Their ability to go to Philly and take them down was a great story. And but there's no question that the Niners have some serious building to do, and they have to get to it. They have to get to it. And the other thing is, Jed York, if you want to save money, be smart. Don't just save money to save money. This year, they just save money to save money. He tightened the belt strings, and this team is one of the best undrafted free agent gathering teams in the league over the last, since during the Shanahan regime. And the money that's spent in the undrafted market is a pittance compared to what the money is spent overall. And for the 49ers to sit out the veteran free agent market and to sit out largely the undrafted free agent market, too cheap. It's okay to save money. It's okay to say goodbye to veterans that can't play. It's not okay to handicap your personnel department by putting these draconian financial restraints on their spending to the point where they can't offer $2.5 million to a defensive lineman that they think should have gone in the 5th round that didn't get drafted, that their scouts really love. The Niners have to get back to spending in the undrafted market. And they got to tell Jed, go save money somewhere fucking else. This is the big boy neighborhood. This is where you find big-time players. There's a lot of good undrafted players. To sit out that market to save nothing, a couple $1 million in an industry where the value of these franchises is going up by the billions is not just short-sighted, it's fucking idiocy. And anybody who takes pen to paper and can look at how teams are built and what it costs, if you're not paying assistant coaches, if you're not paying for the best assistant coaches, you're a fool. If you're not a major player in the undrafted market, you're a fool. And to just have some arbitrary line in the sand, we're going to save money because you're petulant about the fact that you don't have your 6th Lombardi yet. That's loser maneuvering. And that's the kind of tinkering that is why the Yorks are synonymous with tinkering and losing. So that was a major fuck up. And if they do that again, they deserve what they get. They deserve what they get. It's okay to save money, but it's not okay to save money at the expense of talent on your football team. The undrafted guys, what are you going to spend? $1 million? $2 million? What's the whole thing going to cost you? $5 million? $8 million? You're going to blow that on Thomas Morstead's bonus money. So don't tell me about you got to sit out the undrafted market. It was fucking stupid. It was short-sighted. It was made by somebody. It was a decision made by somebody who doesn't know football and doesn't understand roster construction. And it was one area that hurt the 49ers this year. And there was no reason for it. Absolutely no reason for it at all.